Hello, hello. We about to do a high taper finally after three mid fades. Mid fade is my favorite haircut to do. High taper is definitely right under that. Maybe tied with a low fade. For the rest of this tutorial, I'm just gonna have the guards on the screen. You can follow along as needed. The reason why I'm doing it this way is just so I can talk about why I do things instead of just telling you what I'm doing. I want to tell you why I'm doing it. So here we're starting with the ball line, and I really just start where that C cup ends. I don't like to go too high. I've seen some barbers go real high with that, and they can make it work, but that's not for me. I like to keep it low like that to give myself room to fade. Now with this beard fade, it's really just a normal fade upside down. It's really not that difficult. I'll never go past a two guard. If it's a really big beard, for his beard, it's not that big. So I'm not gonna go past that one guard open. But yeah, it's real simple. I mean, with the beard fade, I like to just literally touch every lever, every open close, every guard possibly that I possibly can, just to make sure I'm precise with it. With the regular fade on the skull, you can kind of skip steps and get away with it because of the flick out. But with the beard, since you're going backwards, you're going down, you don't really have room to do that. So I like to go step by step with it and make sure I'm going, make sure I'm detailing exactly where I need to be. Remember, it's about the dark to light transition. So don't be worried too much about steps. Just be worried about how it looks. That's why I use the corners a lot and I play with the lever a lot. Now we're going into the scalp or the skull, whatever you want to call it. With this first guideline, it's really just a debulk, kinda. He had just recently gotten a haircut, so his hair wasn't that long. Say it was really long, I probably would have went in with a 4 or a 3 or a 2.5, but because it wasn't that long, I went with the 1.5, so I can like do a low key debulk of that area. And now I go in with the no guard open and then a half guard, because those guards, no guard open and a half guard close, are like right next to each other. So I really just play with those two to get that bottom line a lot lighter. It's not completely out yet, but it's a lot lighter. And then that line I created up top, I can take out with the one guard, the 1.5 guard, the thinning shears. Thinning shears are very key, especially with this type of hair. You want to rely. I'll say rely. I'll boldly say rely. I love my thinning shears. They help me out with a lot of fades. They help me out with the mid fades. But when it comes to tapers, it helps me keep my, how does it say, the surface area is smaller, so I can kind of pinpoint better than I could with like corner work with the corner of the clippers. So I really love to use thinning shears because it doesn't cut all hairs. That's what thinning shears are. It's not like scissors where it cuts every hair. It only cuts a little bit of the hairs. So it's kind of like a cheat code to fading. That's why I love the thinning shears and that's why I use them. So it just debulks a little bit of the fade. Now in the back of the head, it's really the same process. That's why everything's all sped up. But with the back, you gotta remember you can stretch out the fade a lot more. So my first guideline with the 1.5 guard is gonna be pretty big compared to the sides, just because I have so much room to play with. Just make sure it's even straight across. You don't want to have uneven guidelines because that's how you come out with an uneven fade. And remember, I'm playing with the 8 guard on top, so I did go with the 4 guard. I didn't show it, but I go with the 4 guard and then the 3 guard, and now with the 2 guard. And I really just work down. I like to down fade. It's like fading to the middle. So once I put my ball guideline in, I like to down fade, and then the last line will always be in the middle between like a 1.5 or a half guard. So it's always easier that way. I used to have trouble with fading up, like putting the ball line in and then having all the bulk there. It just made it a lot harder for me. So I learned that if I put the ball line in and then debulk and then fade down, it's just a lot easier for me to keep the fade neat. So now you see I'm going with the no guard open because I did all that prep work with the debulking and the down fading. So now it's a lot easier for me to do the no guard open, and then now I'm down fading again. The 1 guard open, 1 guard close, and then a half guard open and half guard close. It is a lot easier for me to do this, and it just creates a neater landscape for my fades, especially with the back, because the neck you have the most room. So I don't want to say you have more room to mess up, but it's more room. So you really want to make sure it's like even all across. You want to make sure that both sides are symmetrical because it's such a big area. You want to make sure that both sides of the neck, are symmetrical. And now we're going to the line. I did spray hairspray here. I sprayed a little hairspray, put some air, some cold air on there to set the hairs, make them freeze. And yeah, you see how I lifted up his hair to do that line, the beard line. That's what you want to do to make sure that that line's straight. You don't want to have your client looking down or looking right, looking left. Make sure he's looking straight ahead. Same for the hairline. Now we're in the hairline. Same process I did with this, I did with the lineup on the sides around the ear. So I put the hairspray and I put the cold air. Now this helps lock in the hairs, especially with hair like his. It's like straighter, so the hairs move around a lot. So in order to keep it from moving, every time you put the trimmer on it, it's not gonna move as much as it normally would. So this is how you really keep those hairs locked into place for your shape up. And yeah, the rest of this video is self-explanatory, but I wanted to talk to you guys about how some tips that I didn't show here is that if you have trouble with keeping both sides of your tapers looking the same, do both sides of the bald line first. So do the left side and the right line for the bald line first. You want to make sure those bald lines are even, and then from there just fade the way you normally fade on both sides. It'll come out the same. That's one thing I really struggled with when I first started cutting hair, keeping the tapers symmetrical on both sides. I really had trouble with that because I'm a righty, so the right side of his head was easier than it was for the left side, or vice versa. I'm not sure, but I always knew that one side would look better than the other side. So one tip I'd give you guys who are struggling to keep the sides looking the same is to make sure that your bald lines are the same, almost like you're doing a shape up, but with the bald guideline. That's how I like to approach the tapers, to make sure that they're symmetrical on both sides. When I go behind them to look at the hairline, I'm making sure it's symmetrical on both sides. I'm making sure both corners are the same. I'm making sure both vertical bars are angled the same way to make sure that the shape up is done. And now I spray the enhancements, and I'm about to do my favorite part of the cut. I think this is the finishing part that really brings the cut home, is when you moisturize the beard, blow dry the beard out with medium heat, and really pick out that beard, because most dudes don't take care of their beards. They don't brush it, they don't pick it out. So us barbers, we got to do it for them, right? We got to pick it out so we can shape it up correctly. And as you'll see here, I'm making sure that my point of view can see all the stray hairs coming out from the beard. So that's why I stand behind him. I'll stand to the side of him, and I'll stand in front of him so I can see where all those hairs are coming out. These are the little things that it's gonna make your client's beard stand out. It's gonna make their jawline pop, and it's really gonna sculpt that beard to fit their head frame. If you wanna be set apart from other barbers, I'd really recommend this technique. Boom! Here's the final cut. As you can see, the fade is faded, the beard is bearded. Thank you for watching. Share this with your barber friends, or just your regular friends, or your boyfriends, your best friends, your brothers, whatever. Have a good one.